Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. We got XRP on the daily, guys, and the trend is trying to move upward after the last couple of days of bearish momentum in the space. The Bitcoin halving happened yesterday. If I bring up BTC here on the chart, is there anything special going on? Not really. We had hit that $10,000 mark. Bitcoin found resistance and sellers sold off. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of bullish momentum post-halving. I think we're going to need to wait a while, kind of like back in 2016 when we saw that halving occur. But the halving has happened, and the reward for mining Bitcoin has been cut in half. And guys, there is only 1,338 more days till the next Bitcoin halving. So what does this all mean? How is this going to affect price? What is the rest of the crypto market going to do? Well, I was scouring the internet, found a few articles here, guys. I saw this from Peru Crypto-OM on Twitter. Post-halving news, okay? So this with regards to Bitcoin miners, and the headline here, up to 30% of Bitcoin miners close shop as business turns unprofitable after halving. So we are going to start to see some of this. How is this going to affect the space? Let me tell you. So about a third of Bitcoin mining farms have already been switched off their machines as the business becomes unprofitable due to a reduction in mining rewards. The third halving consummated earlier today, which was yesterday, reduced supply of the pioneering cryptocurrency, cutting the bonus paid to miners for solving mathematical puzzles that underpin the network by 50% to 6.25 BTCs per block. According to Alejandro de la Torre, VP at Mining Pool Poolin, miners who make up between 15 to 30% of the entire BTC network hash rate are already in the process of shutting down as profit margins come under pressure. Those companies operating inefficient old generation mining rigs, such as Bitmain's S9 miner, on higher electricity costs will be most affected, he opined. So he expects that the first little while will be slow, and then difficulty will eventually increase. So this from De La Torre, we expect the first 1,008 blocks after the halving will be mined slowly as huge numbers of unprofitable miners drop off the network. We estimate around 30% of the entire Bitcoin network will be squeezed, considering that the first 1,008 blocks will have the pre-halving difficulty but half the reward. And we tend to see this once there is a Bitcoin halving. We see miners drop off. Some miners become entrepreneurial, find ways to cut costs, and then the mining continues. But let's look at the total supply in the market. If the supply is cut in half, but the demand is still there for Bitcoin, what will result eventually is a Bitcoin rally. So guys, the last halving was somewhere in July 2016. It was around here, July 2016. We saw a ramp up before the halving occurred. Okay, in this case, Bitcoin made new all-time highs. This was before the halving. And then the halving occurred and we saw Bitcoin drop right back down to this level of resistance. Old resistance becomes new support. You've heard me say that before. Dip right back down into that level. So at this time, Bitcoin was trading at $470, give or take. It went up to $782. The halving occurred somewhere around here. We dropped right back down into this level, but then rebounded. And look at what happened from there. We just made new higher highs until Bitcoin rallied to about 20,000 per BTC. So are we going to see the same kind of thing? I tend to think so, although I do think that the swings will be larger. Whales are manipulating this thing as well, and the reward is even more difficult than it was back then. So this might be a prolonged correction before we start to see that rally, although when we do see the rally, I think we're going to see something along these lines where Bitcoin went ultimately from 3,500 all the way to 14,000 in the span of about 4 months. So that rally was strong, and it's all going to depend on how many sellers are going to take profits along the way. I think a lot of people are expecting this to go way higher than 20,000. People are expecting 6 figures for Bitcoin, 100 to 300,000 per BTC by the end of 2021. There will be sellers along the way, no doubt, but a lot of people are assuming we are going to see this bullish rally, a steady bullish rally for the next 18 months or so. And if altcoins like XRP are highly correlated with Bitcoin in this rally, we could see the same kind of thing. Now, the gains might not look as large on a dollar by dollar basis. Let me just go back to Bitcoin for a sec. But if you guys look here, okay, if you take what the price is today and you bring up Bitcoin all the way back up to all-time highs, what we'll be looking at right now is roughly, what would it bring us up to? About 125% increase to all-time high, okay? I'll just show you guys that. Over here, bring it center here. So I don't know if you guys can see that here. I'll write it down here. 125% 5% increase from today's number. Okay, but if you look at XRP, where will that bring us if we can get back up to all-time high? That would bring us up to 1,572%. So these numbers can be deceiving. Let's not look at the, when you're seeing XRP going down or not rising as much as Bitcoin, it's because it doesn't have to go as far to gain 100% as an example. Okay, Bitcoin has to gain another $8,800 to make a 100% return, whereas XRP just has to go up 20 cents to make the same return. If you put $10,000 into XRP at the price today, or $10,000 into Bitcoin at the price today, to net the same return, XRP just has to go up 20 cents to about 40 cents, whereas Bitcoin has to go up to almost $17,000, a price we haven't seen since December 2017. So just to put things into perspective for you guys, I also saw this. So I don't know if you guys heard this, that there was a message contained taunting the Federal Reserve in the final Bitcoin block. And so with the Bitcoin halving completed, many crypto enthusiasts are looking forward. However, the block right before the halving may be far more interesting. According to a block chair, a Bitcoin block explorer, Bitcoin block 629,999 contained a secret message. The final Bitcoin block prior to the halving contained the following message. New York Times, April 9th, 2020, with a $2.3 trillion injection, the Fed's plans far exceeds the 2008 rescue. So the encoded message throws rocks at the Federal Reserve's magnitude of economic stimulus. Furthermore, this comes as the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says we will not run out of money. Is this Satoshi Nakamoto taunting the Fed? Or was some talented cryptographer able to get into the Bitcoin block somehow? I don't know, that kind of technology is beyond me. And encode a message taunting the Fed. Very interesting to say the least. I did not know that until I read that this morning. Anyways, guys, I'm going to move along here. Martin Volk here on Twitter, just going along with our theme of the economy. And Trump says we're talking about a second round of direct payments to Americans. So the economy isn't getting any better. President Trump said Monday his administration is considering a second round of beer flu stimulus payments. We're talking about that, Trump said when asked about a Democratic proposal to send another round of relief checks. We're talking about that with a number of different people. We're talking about a payroll tax. He said, I want to see various things, but we're talking about that. We're negotiating with the Democrats. So phase 3 of beer flu stimulus signed into law in late March, including $1,200 payments to many individuals. And Trump has repeatedly called for payroll tax cuts to be included in phase 4 of the beer flu stimulus. So the issue continues. And to me, it seems apparent the world needs XRP now more than ever. Getting money to people in an emergency situation with instant settlement is a problem that cryptocurrency can solve, specifically XRP, most efficiently. Anyway, going to keep moving along here to Stephen Diep's tweet. Stephen Bull from the Diep at DiepSun on Twitter, an official document from the Arab Monetary Fund mentioning how crypto assets like XRP helps reduce liquidity costs from pre-funding local currency accounts. And so guys, this from April 2020. Here they talk a little bit about XRP Ripple, basically outlining what it does, B2B models, so on and so forth. And just to show you guys, this is from the Arab Monetary Fund just from last month, financial inclusion in the technology-led globalization age. And right here, guys, still because payments to emerged markets often require pre-funding in the local currency accounts, banks still face high liquidity costs remains. In this context, crypto assets can offer on-demand liquidity and thus optimize the liquidity costs. In fact, remittance service providers may use crypto assets in the business-to-business B2B cross-currency leg. Neither the sender nor the recipient of funds hold crypto assets. In this model, the risk of adverse exchange rate moves between crypto assets or payment token and fiat currencies is borne exclusively by the RSP. As for the second model, Ripple's DLT-based solution XRapid that uses crypto asset XRP to enable remittance service providers to lower foreign exchange costs and ensure faster settlement. So they're still using the term XRapid here, even though it is clear that this document is from April 2020. I guess they didn't get the memo that they are using the term ODL now. Nevertheless, it's looking as though the Arab Monetary Fund is on board with Ripple and XRP. And it sounds as though that there is regulatory clarity in the countries that the Arab Monetary Fund covers. So very, very interesting information there. Thanks so much, Stephen Diep, for tweeting that out. We've got Michael here on Twitter at Val5Links. And so he posted this. A partnership announced Sunday between Bangladesh-based Bank Asia and RAK Bank will allow users to transfer money between accounts at the two institutions within 24 hours. So more news out of the Middle East. United Arab Emirates Bank Retail and Business Bank, RAK Bank, is expanding its remittance routes using Ripple Ripple's blockchain technology. And so this is the UAE's 9th largest bank. They're providing cross-border payments in the new Bangladeshi corridor. A partnership announced Sunday between Bangladesh-based Bank Asia and RAK Bank will allow users to transfer money between accounts at the two institutions within 24 hours. RippleNet's blockchain technology has been integrated with the bank's own RAK money transfer service for the initiative. RippleNet is a global payments network with now over 300 members that seeks to tap into payments markets by acting as a bridge between separate institutions and currencies. And so this announcement does not specify whether they will be using XRP or not. Nevertheless, they are on RippleNet. And of course, it is about regulatory clarity in certain countries. And each country has its own jurisdiction there. So even if, for example, the United Arab Emirates might have clarification, Bangladesh might not have clarification, and therefore it might be an issue to use a cryptocurrency like XRP. Also, another clue here that they might not be using XRP, at least not right away, is the fact that they are saying that it will take 24 hours to settle, which could just mean that they have people double checking in the background, for example. But it doesn't sound like they are using XRP, at least not at this moment. Nevertheless, great news there out of the UAE and Bangladesh. And guys, did you see this? Ripple partner Flare preparing to launch smart contracts on the XRPL. So Flare Networks is taking a big step forward in its efforts to launch smart contracts on the XRP ledger. The startup says it's about to roll up a public testnet code named Costin. Smart contracts are designed to function like contracts written on paper, except they are processed without the need for an enforcer or arbitrator. They can contain specific terms and are then digitally stored in code on a distributed ledger. Once the conditions of the agreement are satisfied, the transaction, such as a payment, is executed and becomes irreversible. So this from Hugo Fillion, CEO and co-founder of Flare. The Costin testnet is designed with two goals in mind. And here are the two goals. As a testbed for developers that want to utilize Flare with XRP to develop and test applications before risking actual value. And number two, to test various functionality and smart contracts that will form the core utility of the Flare network. So we know Flare was a Spring funded company back in November 2019. Fillion also states that Flare's native token will be an algorithmic stablecoin created in part by burning XRP and payments for a contract that can be made and received in XRP via the interledger, which will be integrated with Flare. Flare will also use the XRP address and encryption systems to provide XRP users with a virtually seamless way of interacting with smart contracts on the Flare network. So interoperability, integration, that's the name of the game here. This is why they want to use the XRPL, because it is so interoperable, and another reason why the Spring Initiative decided to fund a company like Flare. So amazing news there. Guys, I also saw this from the XRP Arcade. GoMama prefers Ripple to Stellar. Did you know that they were using both, or at least that they were in talks with both, but they prefer Ripple over Stellar? So a little bit about GoMama. They were funded in 2018. They're a payments network, and they offer a mobile application built on Stellar's blockchain protocol that allows users to transfer money, pay utility bills, and top up mobile phones for friends and family overseas without dealing with the high fees and slow settlement times of traditional remittance services. So GoMama and Stellar, down here it says that they were in discussions with Ripple Dash and Stellar, and that GoMama wanted to leverage blockchain technology for cross-border payments, increasing their speed and transparency while lowering their costs primarily for the marginalized populations, often left out by their limited access to the banking world. Here's a quote from Ramos, their founder. Our user demographic is most likely unfamiliar with blockchain technology. In order not to impede the adoption of our service, we will abstract the blockchain details from our user as to not confuse them and create distrust. The user's funds will be held in USD and be paid out in the local currency of the country they are transferring to. Blockchain technology will only be implemented in the back-end transfer process to increase speed and efficiency. This is of note, guys, though. We have been in discussion with both Ripple, Dash, and Stellar development foundations whose strong solutions can be seamlessly integrated into our remittance services. But here's a key point. Ripple offers advantages. In an interview with Blocklike in December 2019, Ramos revealed that GoMama's goal was to remain blockchain agnostic and use one or more multiple blockchains in order to achieve the fastest possible settlement for transactions while also achieving the most favorable exchange rate. Ramos also explained that a new partnership with Ripple would allow GoMama to utilize its already functioning payment network in Latin America. GoMama's new partnership with Ripple will allow us to explore the benefits of distributed ledger technology. Ripple already has functioning payment corridors into Latin America. Stellar's blockchain is still of great interest to us for creating faster and cheaper payment solutions, but it requires more development on the payment corridors. So bam, a slight against Stellar. Clearly Ripple already has those relationships in place to help companies like GoMama benefit from their already existing corridors. And this is why the partnerships were so important back in 2018, 2019, not only for Ripple themselves to build that infrastructure, but so that all their preferred clients can benefit from those payment rails. So boom, 1 check in the column for Ripple, 0 for Stellar, at least as far as GoMama is concerned. We've also got news coming out of Europe with regards to CBDCs and retail CBDC specifically. So the European Central Bank is working on a retail central bank digital currency. And before we were discussing the notion of having a retail CBDC versus a commercial CBDC, or one for internal use for governments or banks or whatever. This from XRP Crypto Wolf on Twitter. So thanks for posting this. With regards to this, the European Central Bank is working on a retail central bank digital currency as part of an investigative task force, according to a member of its executive board. Yves Mersch, who also served as vice chair of the ECB's supervisory board, made the remarks during an early morning keynote address for CoinDesk's Consensus 2020 conference. In a published version of the speech, Mersch talked about the task force and the work it is conducting, mostly notable in retail CBDC versus a wholesale-focused one. So he discussed the fact that a lot of transactions taking place in the Eurozone are still 76% of them are in the form of cash. And at this point, there is a lack of a concrete business case for a CBDC, at least a retail CBDC at this time. Yet it's not off the table. They still want to develop one. They still are in talks and are interested in pursuing this thought. He talks about money flowing and how central banks are already using digital currencies, although not called CBDCs. That's kind of a bit misleading, I think, because the money that is being transferred digitally is not actually digital. It is ones and zeros, sure, but it is still based on the old system. CBDCs would be cryptographically encoded, and depending on how you program them, could be deflationary, inflationary, if you can just print more. I don't think the governments of the world or the central banks of the world are ever going to allow for, if they do create a CBDC, allow for it not to be inflationary. And what I mean by that is allow them the ability never to print any more of it. I think that printing money in this day and age, unless we go to a new gold standard, is kind of the way of the world. And this is why we're seeing artificial pumps in the stock market, giving people false hope. Jerome Powell essentially saying that, we can just print more money. We won't run out of money. This kind of thinking is problematic. And so anyway, the ECB looking to create, or looking at least talking about creating a retail version of a CBDC accessible to all, and how it would be a game changer. So a retail CBDC is now our main focus. Cryptocurrency as a means of payment for people in the Eurozone. Essentially digitalizing the euro and making it available for public use and spending. And on that note, guys, it's looking like the USA is getting closer and closer to a federal licensing framework for cryptocurrencies, at least cryptocurrency firms. This from XRP Crypto Wolf as well. This from Brian Brooks here. Brian Brooks is the Chief Operating Officer of the U.S. Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, OCC, the nation's national bank overseer, and he said Monday he believes crypto companies could fall under a federal licensing regime if they provide what can be described as payment services. So speaking at CoinDesk's Consensus distributed virtual conference, the former Coinbase chief legal officer said many crypto companies are payment companies, and it therefore might make sense to treat these startups and other fintech firms like Stripe the same way as banks are treated federally. So possibly a new step in the right direction for the United States to adopt crypto federally. Crypto is one of those areas where we have to ask ourselves, does it make more sense to think of crypto projects as local projects or global projects? If they're global, then the rationale for a single national license makes more sense, he said. Increasingly, it looks like a lot of crypto is banking for the 21st century. So look at that. We're not painting all cryptos with the same brush. Of course, this guy did used to work for Coinbase, so he gets it. But now he's the Chief Operating Officer of the OCC, a governmental body, and so he has influence. This would give these startups an alternative to the state-level money transmitter licenses when building operations. So a step in the right direction, definitely. That said, though, I think we're a ways away from mass adoption. I think the adoption will happen slowly but surely, and maybe, just maybe, a sweeping federal regulatory crypto framework will change to allow more crypto within banking to occur in the United States. And since the United States is a megaforce in the economy, this only makes sense. We're seeing officials get really serious in the Eurozone and other countries around the world. What is America waiting for? I don't know. What do you guys think? Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.